We are here with a VR rundown special review of Path of Fury Episode 1, Tetsuo's Tower. I'm your host, Antonio, aka Hypecaster, with my co-host here, Clay, the big man Howard. How you doing, Clay?
Doing good.
I love VR. You love VR. I got a chance to get a code for this game, and I was excited to jump in because I had played just one other Kung Fu game. I think it is called Kung Fu. And I had like mixed feelings on it, so I'm like, all right, let me see what a Kung Fu game would be by another dev. So Path of Fury Episode 1, Tetsuo's Tower is what I assume to be like plan one episode in a series. So they're hoping that this game does well. What they put out, long story short, it's a really good value. I mean, they have episode 1 here for $9.99. When I review things, when I look at games, I really do factor in that price, especially in the VR space. The whole game is you fighting with only your fists, and they put you in little segments of this story where you're outside starting in a dark alleyway, you're fighting your way through to the main tower compound of the seedy underbelly that you're trying to fight against. And then you'll find yourself in the lobby, in the drug den, going through different areas, and in front of you just keep stepping up one after another, just thugs, cops, different people that you need to, beat the hell out of. And it's a pretty simple game. They segment it in a way where it's kind of really emphasizing the speed of your movement and how quick you're taking people down. And overall, I'm enjoying it. Big questions. I'm ready for them. Go ahead, Clay.
The thing I guess that makes the most sense to talk about right off the bat would be kind of the visual style of this game, because it does have a unique visual style. In fact, I'll let you share your thoughts, but just me looking at this at face value right now, very PlayStation 1-esque visuals with like low textured, simple polygons. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you remember Valheim from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Where it was like kind of high quality, but like old school looking graphics at the same time with like really weird like low res like textures and stuff. It's unique. What were your thoughts playing? Like, was it jarring? Did you kind of get immersed in it, or was it just did it never really fit well with you? What were your thoughts?
The whole delivery of the game is this is a crime story, like 80s action flick, and everything's shrouded in darkness. It's almost like the people you're fighting have shadows cast over them. Part of that has to be to set the mood, I think, but I think part of it was so they could get away with some lower quality graphic. The trailers and my video gameplay recording, things look really good and sharp, but when you're in VR, you always tend to have like a different perspective, and the guys that you're fighting are literally like face to face, like right in front of you, and their faces look so blocky, it like gives off vibes of GoldenEye and 64. They were just all polygons, and this is kind of how it goes in this game as well. So on the one hand, they're going for like a tone, but on the other hand, the graphics really are rough looking. But just like I think with any game, as the action unfolds, what you're seeing in front of you kind of matters less. It kind of like melts away as the gameplay like starts moving. When you're fighting, there's a system in place where things glow. The left side of the enemy's face will glow. Their torso will glow. It'll be red, indicating that if you land this, it's going to do extra damage. And the enemies have this little health bar above them. But what's interesting is if you swing and it's at the wrong time, wrong place, it's not doing damage or chipping away at them. And the game talks about enemies having weaknesses and you needing to discover them. So one of the bigger disappointments for me was it would be cool if like you had a bonus for hitting the highlighted areas, but if it also kind of let you just have at it, like any part of the body at any time, that would have been cool, because then you could really search for the weakness, and maybe every enemy type of this type has a soft spot, and then if I remember that, I could hit that at any time. But it was more like fight in time here. I'm glad you brought up the graphics though, because That's gotta be the biggest like detriment to the whole experience. It's the weakest part.
The Quest is pretty limited on what it can do. Obviously, it can do some nicer graphics, but for some of these smaller studios, I think it's just a lot. It takes a lot of time to make things look really good. On a headset that's all inclusive. It's one thing if you have a PC that you can power it with. And so a lot of these games have to be a little lower quality, and that doesn't normally bother me. And so I like that they at least went for kind of a unique look with this. What's the pacing like of this game? Does the fighting get old? Do they come up with new and unique ways to keep things interesting? Or does it kind of get monotonous after a while?
So it's interesting. You start out the game in like your hub, and they have like a little training area where you can hone your skills a little bit against like a dummy, and then they have where you get into the campaign, and then you unlock like an endless mode. So when you get into the campaign, they harken back to like Time Crisis, where you're going through segments of areas, and there's like a little mini cutscene that kind of sets up the next stage for people to kind of run at you. You go through different segments. So at the end, like when you fail, you'll see there's like, I think 5 or 6 major segments to episode 1. And I would fight my way through segment 1, and then it would give you a score based on how quickly you cleared the area, and a letter grade as well. So it's like, oh, I got a B+, and it took me 14 minutes to like beat this segment. And then you go the next one and the next one, and then I would constantly fail. And there are, as far as I understand it, like big checkpoints that you can hit. So once I hit a certain amount, it let me like zoom to the lobby, and I wasn't playing the same segments over and over. I can say that it took me about like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get through a chunk of the game. And then once I got to the end, it's like, okay, you got to the final door, the elevator, or what have you. And then it's like, all right, break time. But as you're fighting, you're fighting like one guy, then you're fighting like 2 guys, then 3, and then they start mixing it up. Now you're fighting like 4 at one time, and then it gives you the next segment, the next round of enemies keep coming at you. So you have very little downtime. By the time I hit the end of a segment, about 15 minutes, I was winded. You'll see in like my gameplay recording, my arms start moving very slowly, and in some cases it'll say too weak, like you've not thrown this punch with like any speed. We're not going to register that for any damage. That's way too weak. And it would happen to me quite often. I played for like a couple hours. I've sat down to play like 3-4 different times. And each time I'm like, I can only do so much. I have to stop. It is a workout. As far as it being monotonous, there is a level that's like, oh, do you want to go through the left door or the right door? And when you go through the left, there's a certain number of enemies, and like there's a, the visual aesthetic changes. It's like, oh, you're fighting in a club. And it's like, now you're in a drug den. Now you're in just like this hallway. Now you're in an office. Now you're in, and it's not like radically different, but there are different enemies like in the different areas. So you're kind of in a maze at one point. It's like, do you want to go left, right, or straight? Left, right, or straight? And like, you're like kind of, I felt lost for a minute. And there was like a little map, and it's like, I guess it's trying to tell you, hey, if you want to get to the ending sooner, you can, memorize this map and choose the right path. Really, after a while, I started to just appreciate the game as an exercise thing. And I wouldn't say I was bored at any point. If anything, I started thinking to myself, let me get a better score. And that was kind of like the driving factor, which is let me clear the stage faster.
How is the motion sickness? How did you do it? It looks like this is kind of like an on rails thing where it kind of auto progresses you through, and you don't actually like control where you're standing. The game just kind of moves you like room to room. So my first part of my question is, how is that? How are the motion, like, did you get motion sick at all playing this? And then second part is this a game that kids could play? Do you think that this is a good one for maybe if a parent was watching this video or listening to this review? Is this something they would want to play with their kids? Do you think kids could play this? Could they handle the motion to it? All that.
They use VR to kind of its maximum in a few different weird ways. So you'll be fighting, and then it'll be like, okay, turn to the right to go through that door. So it'll make you like about face, to the right. And then you'll be punching in that direction. And then you'll go left and you'll be punching in that direction. So in real space, you're fighting in one of the 4 cardinal directions, but always standing still. Like, you don't really have to take a step forward or a step back. So you're pretty much planted, but it is making you rotate like here and there, which was interesting. I took the VR headset off and I'm like, oh, I'm standing in a different direction. And I guess I didn't realize it in the moment, just in the fury of fighting. So that was very interesting. When you get knocked out, they do this really, I would say, kind of ill-advised thing where you get knocked out and it looks like you're falling backwards and the camera like moves you back. So I immediately get motion sick when you get knocked out, because if you get toppled over, your VR head like hits the floor and people are standing above you like taunting you or whatever. And that is, I think they could have done without that. Like, it could have just went red and black and have you not fall over, but it does add to the like impact of you going down. Let's say the flashes of light are a little intense sometimes when you're fighting 4 guys in front of you and they're all like kind of signaling, okay, this flash happens. It's like, this guy's doing a big attack, you better block. And then this guy is also doing it. And then the attacks come in very quickly at a certain point, whether it's one enemy that just is overpowered and they're asking your reaction time to be really fast, or multiple enemies and they're coming from all different angles. It gets a little intense, but I never really felt sick. When I've gotten literally beat up, like some enemy is for one reason or another landing like a combo on me, it's like left, right, oh, boom, 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 and I start getting hit, your vision is like taken aback. Like you have almost like no time to set up while your flash of vision resets. So it's hard to block the next shot. So it's kind of like a cascading domino effect of, oops, there was a flash, I got hit, and oh, I can't see where the next attack's coming from. And you actually feel like kind of like you're in a fight, like the odds are stacked against you. So that was really good. I would say that there's a weird spot in there, like where there's like a naked body, like it's pixelated just like the faces of the characters, but there's like a naked body, like I guess it's someone on drugs or whatever, just in the corner like tweaking out. So aside from like some of that, I would say sure, yeah, I guess kids could play. The motion sickness is low overall, and I'm very sensitive, like in my just starting out my VR journey again. So yeah, VR sickness not a problem. Violence and naked polygon like people is like a little questionable. So I'll give it on a maybe for the kids.
I'd be curious to hear your overall final thoughts.
Because you're not actually making contact with anything, in general, I'm not a fan of like punching in games. Where the game steps it up exceptionally well is the blocking. So if somebody's coming at you and they give you a kick or they give you like a haymaker and you're like lifting up your fists like bangles to like block low, block left, block right, it feels really good. And I was trying to put my finger on why exactly that was, but they're blocking and the mechanics of what you're doing is pretty good. The big downside to the mechanics was there is a way to do a perfect hit, and it's like perfect angle is what it says. So it wants you to punch a certain way, and I would try to do it, and I would say like I would successfully do it only like 10-20% of the time. And even though I'd swing in the same manner, I don't know why it wasn't registering as perfect. So it was kind of annoying it a while. I kind of like forgot about that mechanic or like ignored it because I didn't feel like it was possible. I felt like it was finicky. When you start the game, there's not a like in Asgard's Wrath or in other games, they make you like reset. How tall are you? Let's measure your arms really quick. There's none of that. So it's almost like kind of assuming how tall you are and what your like arm length is. So without that calibration, I figured things would be way better if they had that technology in there to like calibrate, because it felt a little finicky. The last thing I would say is the enemy variety. You have your typical thugs, you have police who will pull a gun on you and you gotta like slap their arm to the side so their bullet misses you. That's all cool. And then you'll fight like a huge guy will be in front of you, and it'll make you look up at him. So when you're swinging up to hit his head, and you're swinging like really low and like across. So your swings have to be a lot more wide and varied. And that's where I had like the most fun, was when they mixed it up. So a tall guy throw 5 guys at me at once or whatever it was, some mechanic. And I wish there was more of that, because I think that would help keep things fresh and engaging, over the long run. Once I would beat like episode 1 and get a good score, I don't know how interested I would be in like the endless mode. They'll put you in a basement, and it's like, oh, here's like, it looks like Fight Club. It's like, now everybody's just going to keep coming at you, and let's see how far you can get. It's like there could be more depth here. I feel like there was they don't have any kicks, so I feel like there could be an opportunity for like other mechanics. But it's they keep it on the basic side, but what they're trying to do, they do well. Overall, I'd recommend it. $9.99, you can't go wrong. I always factor in value in the game. The combat feels good for what it's doing. The graphics are definitely blocky, but all of that melts away in the long run. So I had fun with it. It's a great tool to exercise for sure, and I think it's a really decent value. I hope it does well, so they can come out with the other episodes, so we can see maybe they have other ideas that they want to expand on, and that'll be in further episodes. So we'll see. Check it out if you can. $9.99. It's a try it if you can from me.